The American dream.
um, yeah, American dream. Um, but it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare because it's leaving out. It might seem great for a while, but it's not going to be sustainable. And the reason it's not sustainable in a lifetime, let's say one is fortunate enough to have a long lifetime, is because it's leaving out the the mystery. It's leaving out what birthed you here and where you returning to. It's um it's almost looking at life like it's a commodity versus a gift, and versus using this capacity to self-reflect and to really deeply connect with source and with ourselves and one another. It's leaving out a whole bit that is so fulfilling and fulfills you. It's not just then about fulfilling you in this optimal way of what you can get, but and I'm not hearing that's how you live or anything. I'm just suggesting that maybe your audience or whomever's listening to this, it's and maybe they already are, but there's something about soul, and there's soul loss when we're not attentive to soul. There's soul loss, and then there's this more striving for the commodity, for the success, for whatever, because it's compensating for soul loss.
That by achieving, so it sounds like, yeah, I think there's a ideology of the American dream, um, in men, particularly the kind of like fatuation of needed to be incredibly successful, massively materially abundant to have the recognition or social approval or the connection to feel fulfilled. And it sounds like what you're pointing to is like, hey, there's a whole other side of life that's the Carl Jung unconscious, and
Mhm.
it's influencing us for reasons beyond our physical awareness that have gifts to be presented across our lifetime to us for reasons that you learn looking back at what's happened, and
Mhm.
to uh, yeah, maybe not get so caught up in the race for the material.
Yeah, absolutely. And something we haven't brought into, which really feels wanting to come forth right now, is what real love is. Connection. I spoke about self connection and self acceptance, learning how to be in and self acceptance is not, meeting these places inside that are unworthy, that are just waiting for our self acceptance. And that all comes from self love, right? Finding a place of loving ourselves as we are, regardless of how incompletely perfect we are, and and opening to the magic and the mystery of what love really is. And so while people are busy wanting to fulfill that and pursue that American dream that you're speaking about, which has become sort of the dream of the planet in a way, it's kind of like a virus, um, which is, it's leaving out, like you said, a bunch of this, the mystery, the spirit, soul, but it's also something that drives us, that we want, and that we're also leaning away from, is really true love. What love is, not just so beginning here, and then with another, and maybe with just in general with others, just expression of care, empathy, all the things that come out of love, compassion, uh, nurturance, caring about the Mother Earth and what's happening to her, and our drive to want things and to achieve. Are we poisoning our own ecosystem in order to achieve that? Yes, because we don't feel connected. We've lost connection. And that's a heart thing. So it's connecting with heart. Okay, so perhaps you've heard that we have these different intelligence centers. So mind is there's mind intelligence, right? And there's a heart intelligence, and then there's a gut intelligence. And they really are centers of intelligence. So it's wonderful to be able to be at our optimal performance, if you want to talk about that in that way, is to be able to have all these centers light up, to be really lit up. From the heart, how does the heart perceive reality? How does the heart see what's happening right now? You can ask yourself, even, what does the heart feel about this? Like, let's say one is having a disagreement with someone or a difficult moment. Rather than coming up here trying to figure it out, it's like, well, how does the heart see this? The heart it comes from a place of wholeness. It's an undivided experience. So it sees it from a wholeness. Doesn't mean you're not discerning. It just means that it sees it from a different angle. And then we have the gut intelligence as well, which is a really wonderful way to access and navigate intuition, what's, and to feel into what's good for us. Like, just feel and honor what the gut knows. You've heard about this. This is like out there now. Heart intelligence, gut intelligence, and the whole thing, the microbiome and taking care of the gut, because it actually is a source of intelligence. So mind, the conditional mind, there's an unconditional aspect of mind, but the conditional mind for right now, the mind is it's full of dualities. It just sees things as, it's a great place it's a toolbox. It's a great place to grab a tool and say, how do I get from A to Z? How do I accomplish this goal? How am I, you know what I mean? Like doing a list or whatever. So mind has its place for sure, but it's not the best place to figure out one's life.